How to excel at human relations. You may have heard that EQ is even more important than IQ, and not only is that true in terms of happiness and success, in my experience, but I think many people's experience from what I've heard, but not only is it true, but I think it might actually be an understatement because EQ is like totally fundamental. And a lot of books have been written about, how to excel at human relations. Like a couple that come to mind. One is The Power of Positive Thinking. And it talks about basically the people who are interested in people. Also how to win friends and influence people. Those two are somewhat similar. They kind of talk about maybe one more than the other a little bit. How people are interested in people that are interested in them. I mean, that's true. That's totally true. And if not just like that you fake that you're interested in, because people can tell, but that you're genuinely interested in other people. Zig Ziglar said something along those lines. He said you can get anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. There's a few other books I had in my mind, but it's 2:00 in the morning, and my mind is not as sharp right now. But I'm forgetting like 3 or 4. Sometimes I jot little ideas down, but sometimes I don't, and probably today I should have. Let me just think where I was going to go with this. I was going to give like a little bit. I was going to go through some books which I've forgotten, but then I was going to give a little bit of a riff of something that I think is a shortcut. Not shortcut meaning that it's easy or that it's better, but just kind of like something a little bit different than what other people say. To me, one of the keys, in addition to some of the things I mentioned, to excelling at human relationships is identifying character. And let me say why it's so important, because character is destiny, because people can have great skills, and they can have great talents, and they can even have great persistence, but if you have all those things without character, you're just like a walking time bomb, because if you have say you have great intelligence, which is like a key to success, and say you have great motivation, and say you have great skills, you have all those things, but say that you're an evil person on top of it, you're just going to destroy the world. I mean, that's the recipe for disaster. I mean, if somebody has bad character, you don't want them to be intelligent. You don't want them to be super skilled. You don't want them to be super persistent. So if you're going to be persistent, which is critical, intelligent, which never hurts, and super skilled and developed in your skills and talents, then they have to be based in character, because they're going to get you in so much trouble and other people in trouble if you don't have character. So being able to assess character is critical. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but one way to do it is basically through intuition, and you have to be a very self-aware person yourself to be able to intuit character. And there's an expression I like that says there's different variations, but one variation is that the higher always controls the lower, but the lower doesn't control the higher, meaning that basically, a student that's in 8th grade can understand what a student in 3rd grade is doing in their classwork, but a student in 3rd grade can only imagine what an 8th grader is doing, and if you show them an 8th grader's textbook, it would be like, foreign language, because they just don't have the grounding and the context and the experience to make sense of it. It's the same thing with maturity and character, that someone that has more character or more developed character, either overall or in a specific area, can always make sense of someone that has lower character, because they've gone through those stages themselves, or they've had those feelings or tendencies or behaviors themselves, so it's readily apparent. So to be a good judge of character, you have to have developed your own character. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but it's profound. It's not so much of like reading tea leaves or body language. I mean, those things are kind of like on the surface. I mean, they're not bad, but the real depth of understanding character is having great character yourself, because if you have great character yourself, you could just like almost in an instant, when someone speaks or when they move or when they gesture, you can kind of get a sense of what it means. I mean, obviously it takes more than a few seconds sometimes, because character plays out over time, But pretty quickly, in many cases, you can kind of get a sense just even by the energy that somebody gives off, the vibration, the mannerisms, but just like how they present themselves, how they talk to you, how they talk to other people, what they talk about, how they say it. Because a lot of language is not so much content; it's intonation and tonality and nonverbals as well, obviously. So if you want to be an expert and excel at human relations, do the skills that you find in all the books. But the number one thing, or aside from those other things, be an expert in character and recognizing character. And how does that relate especially to human relations? Well, if you associate with people with great character, then you'll have great relationships. Like birds of a feather flock together. You can't turn a lemon into an orange, and you can't turn an oak tree into a birch. I mean, those things are kind of like similar already because there are two kinds of trees and there are two kinds of fruits. But you can't this is the extreme, you can't take a pile of manure and turn it into gold. I mean, nobody in life is pure gold, and certainly not manure, because people have both good and bad aspects into them. But you can't. I don't agree with the statement, but it's kind of like an obtuse way of getting at it. Generally, they say you can't fix stupid, because I don't really believe people are stupid. I believe that everybody is smart, and doing the best they can. But the point is that people that have less developed character, in a sense, you can't really work around that. Like I said, a person can have great intelligence and they can have great, persistence and skills. But if they have poor character, they're going to be destructive to you and to themselves at some point. And you want to pretty much stay clear of those people. I mean, sometimes in life you're forced to deal with people of bad character, but you'll find that anybody that's successful in life, the one thing they've learned how to do more than anything else in the development of their EQ is associate themselves with people of good and high character.